Good morning, everyone. Welcome to LisaBug Spring into Yoga. So we have been kind of in some dreary weather these past few weeks, and oftentimes in the more northern states, the colder states, we can experience a little bit of seasonal affective disorder, a little bit of depression with the cold and dreary weather. So I've got a practice for you today that's going to work on bringing that positive energy of spring into our mind, into our heart, into our bodies, the brain, the body, and the breath. So what I have today, if you have some essential oil that's for a positive aromatherapy, I have lemon today. It's going with my top. I have lemon. So if you have some essential oil or even a hand lotion or something with a fragrance that you really like, grab something that makes you feel happy and positive. Might be a floral fragrance, something like that. If you don't, no worries. You can do our breathing without the aromatherapy as well. We're going to spend our first little bit of time on our mat. I also have 2 blocks. Just one is fine if that's all you have at home, and my yoga strap. But come on down and get comfy on your mat in a nice seated position. And then just close your eyes, and I'd like for you to find where you are in this moment. So just do a little check. And perhaps you come to this place today already in a very positive mindset, and that's fine. We'll bring a little bit more positive energy into our spirit, mind, and body today. But maybe you're coming to this place with a little bit of internal sadness or grief or depression, or just feeling a little blah. So just check in and notice where you are today. And our theme for today's positive spring into yoga practice is trust. So think about what trust means to you in this moment. What does it seem in your mind to trust yourself, to trust others, and to trust yoga, to bring you into a better place today, a more positive place? So if you have some essential oil, what I'd like for you today to do with that is to drop a little bit on the inside of your wrist. We're just going to give a little tap there of the oil, or if you have some lotion, place a little bit of that on the inside of your wrist, and then heat it up by rubbing your wrists together. So allow that essential oil to become active. We're not placing it right on our hands because we are going to actually have our hands a little bit over our eyes. So now rub the palms of your hands together, create a little bit of friction. And then place those warmed fingertips over the top of your eyelids. So now your wrist should be just about in front of your nose so you can begin to breathe in that essential oil. And just take some nice deep breaths in and out through the nose. And we'll focus on the word trust. And just say to yourself this morning or out loud, I trust myself. I trust my mat. I trust my heart to guide me through my poses today. I trust my mind to always be present I trust my body to perform yoga where I am today. I trust my feet to hold me up, my legs to support me. I trust my core to support the spine and to come into good posture. I trust my hands and my arms to support me in my poses. I trust that I am strong enough. I am enough for today's practice. I trust my teacher to lead and guide me through my practice today. I trust. Let's allow the fingertips to float down, setting them on the top of your knees. And really find a nice long spine here. And we are going to come into seated breath of joy. So the breath of joy, we take 3 small inhales. And there's a little hesitation between each one, followed by a long exhalation. So we breathe in, 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 and breathe out through the mouth. The 3 breaths in are through the nose, in, exhale through the mouth. So the arms with this breath pattern, just bring them right in front of your body with the palms up, lift them halfway up on the first breath in, out to the side on the second breath in, all the way up on the third breath in, and then let your hands float back down on the exhalation. So we breathe in, breathe out. In. Just at your own pace. The first breath in comes in to the lower belly. The second breath in comes into the rib cage. The third breath in comes up high into the chest and into the heart. And the exhale releases that entire breath through an open mouth. Let's do 3 more. And then just relax, hands to your thighs. You can close your eyes and just notice the adjustment in your body after breath of joy. You might actually feel a little bit lightheaded. Feel a little tingling in your fingertips. That's the energetic properties of breath of joy. We trust breath of joy to bring us positive energy, to get the oxygen moving into the places where we need it today for our practice. Make your eyes open. Take your yoga strap. And we can use it about shoulders distance apart. And lift the arms up, stretching. We'll take a little side bend over to the right. Now, since I'm not using my hand down on the mat, I have to trust that my core will support me here. So we're pressing into the left sitting bone. Trust your core. Trust your spine. Trust the breath in and out through the nose. One more breath. And come back to center, pull it up, relax those arms down, soften through the shoulders, Lengthen the neck. Breathe in, let that yoga strap lift. And side bend over to the left side, trusting your core. Trusting your arms here to stay lifted and breathe. So you might feel you're starting to tip off your center of gravity. Trust you can maintain and hold this. Give yourself that and a positive affirmation. I trust my body. One more breath. And we'll rise up and exhale, let the arms float down. Draw those shoulders back. Now we've been sitting for a bit in this cross-leg position, so if you'd like to change the cross of your ankles, feel free to adjust to the other side. As we do one more side bend here, inhale, lift. Exhale, trust yourself maybe to go a little bit further than last time, and I can pull slightly with my right hand to send some energy into that strap, into the left hand, to create a slight amount of pull, increasing that range of motion. And then let's pull this top shoulder, the left shoulder, back behind a little bit and take your gaze up to the ceiling, trusting that you can keep your balance here with your gaze upward. One more breath. Exhale, bring your gaze back to neutral and pull your body up, relaxing the shoulders down. Take any adjustments here in your spine or shoulders. Keep your sitting bones grounded into the earth. Trust the earth to support you and lift and bend. And try not to hold the breath. Allow it to move while your core is supporting your body. And then we'll pull that right shoulder back, slightly revolving the spine. Take your gaze up to the ceiling, to the sky. Trusting the breath. Inhale and exhale. And rise back up, coming center, and relaxing the arms down. And place your yoga strap there in front of your mat. We'll come onto our hands and knees. If you need some padding for your knees, you can take a little fold in your mat or bring some cushioning for our all fours position. Now just make a little tent with your fingertips. I'm going to place the tips of my fingers down on the mat and trust that your fingers can support you here. And we'll come into cat and cow, rounding the back up into a cat stretch. Tuck the tailbone under, look toward your belly, and then drop the belly, lift the tailbone behind you, and gaze forward. And flow through these at any rate that feels good for you this morning, just working out any tension in your lower back. If you're finding this difficult staying up on tented fingers, come down to your knuckles and make a fist for wrists. Keeping the wrists nice and straight. And trust that your wrists can support you in this nice strong position. Trust that the shoulders can support to allow your spine to move. Then arrive back to neutral. No rush to get there. You can stay either on tented fingers, fists for wrists, or drop down to a flat palm. And then just push back away from your hands as if you're coming into child's pose and slightly come forward. And we'll explore a range of motion here in the wrists, in the hips, in the knees, in the shoulders. And trust your core to keep your body in a neutral alignment. And with the breath, just move it in and out whenever it feels just right for you. Nice and stable. Your movement might be smaller than mine, so allow your body and trust your body to decide what's best for you today. So we've gone back behind our wrists, we've gone over the wrists. Now find a place that's centered directly on top of the wrists. Now we'll take one hand, bring it more to the center, bring that knee more to the center, and kick out your ankle to come into a kneeling side plank. Whichever side feels best for you to start with. Stack your wrist, your shoulder, the opposite shoulder, and up through the opposite wrist into that kneeling side plank. Now begin to trust your core that you can lift up off of this hand until you're back to tented fingers, or maybe even trusting to lift your hand completely off the mat. Top arm can come down to place at the hip or even behind your body for a nice shoulder stretch. So this kneeling side plank will pull us into Gait Pose. So start to activate the side waist and pull yourself up. And then stretch this opposite direction any amount that you can go without straining. And then coming back down just to the fingertips only. So keeping that work in through the core. Now this top arm can come even closer to the ear, a diagonal stretch to give you more workload here for the core and more stretch through the lat. When you're ready, pull yourself up. This time as you stretch opposite direction, take your gaze up. And I'd like for you to smile at your fingertips. If we're feeling a little down and sad, if we simply smile, even if there's no one in the room, it brings us into a positive place. And let's take one more each direction. Coming down here to your range of motion. And if you're feeling unstable, go ahead and support your hand. That's absolutely fine, or bring a block under your hand. And then pull up nice and strong. Take that gaze up. A little smile. Reach. And then cartwheel the hands back down to where we began, coming into all fours. Either tense your fingers or come onto fists for wrists or flatten the palms. We'll just take a nice cat stretch. So pull the spine upward to the ceiling, rounding the lower back. And then a cow, gaze forward, drop the belly, lift the tailbone. Press your shoulders down away from your ears. And then find a nice neutral position. We'll take the opposite hand that you had on the mat before, a little bit more middle to the mat. Your same knee as well, kicking your ankle out. Extend the leg out as we come into our kneeling side plank. Once you have everything stacked from the bottom wrist, through the elbow, through the shoulder, top shoulder, elbow, wrist, start to trust your core to pull yourself up to the fingertips or float the hand off of the mat. So our brain sometimes gets in the way of trust. We start talking to ourselves, well, I can't do that. I've never done that before. You can, and trust your body, trust the breath, trust your spine, trust your brain. Now lifting up in through your gait pose, we'll take that opposing stretch. It might not be as far on this side as what we found on the other side, so just be patient with your body. And then slowly allow the fingertips to come back down. Maybe they touch, maybe not. And then see if you can take this top arm and bring it closer to your ear this time. And stretch, finding length, breathing. With a strong core, pull yourself back up. And this time we'll take our gaze up to the fingertips and a little smile, maybe a big smile, a nice toothy grin. And then we'll come back down one more each direction. See if you can root the lower body into the earth more and trust that the earth supports you here. And pull up. Gaze comes up. We find a smile. And then cartwheel the hands down to the mat where we began, either tented fingers, fists for wrists, or flat to the palms. Curve your back up into a cat stretch. Look toward the belly. Scoop the abdominals in. Drop down to cow. Make sure your abdominals are controlling the amount of back bend you have. And then come into neutral. So we'll move into bear pose. With bear, it's an all fours position with your knees about an inch off the mat. How do we do that? Let's try tucking our toes underneath. And then brace your abs, stabilize through strong shoulders, and pick your knees up about an inch away from the mat. It's a hovering all fours, a hovering tabletop, hovering hands and knees. And say, I trust my arms. I trust I can stay here. 2 more breaths. I have the strength. 1 more breath. And then relax those knees back down to the mat. You can flip the tops of the feet to the floor. Press back into a gentle child's pose and relax your wrists. Maybe you need to roll them around a couple of times or stretch the hands in the opposite direction. Pull yourself back up to table. And we are going to take our bear pose one more time, but this time the tops of your feet will stay to the mat. So not tucking the toes under. Trust that your feet can support you here. Press into the hands and lift your knees about an inch or 2 above the mat. And trust the breath. Holding and breathing. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Relax those knees back down. Press back to a child's pose. You can even take your arms back behind your body. Relax the forehead to the mat. Moving through the wrists. So I've got one more series here on hands and knees. So again, if you're feeling those wrists, you can come up onto the fists here. And we'll take the right leg straight back behind you. So what happens here when we have 3 points of connection on the mat is our body is out of balance. It's like having a table and you removed one table leg. That table's probably going to fall over. But the table doesn't have the ability to brace its core to hold itself up. So I want you to keep that nice positioning without lifting the top hip up, keeping it nice and squared. Now on an inhale, slightly lift forward, drop the belly down, lift your leg a little bit more, And then as you exhale, pull your knee in toward your chest and curve your back into cat. And inhale, take it out long. Exhale and pull it in. Now, as you inhale and take the leg back again and look forward, keep your elbows tucked in really close to your body and bend them just a little bit like you're coming down into chaturanga. And press yourself back up. Then round your back and pull your knee in toward your chest. This is a variation of scorpion pose. So we lift the leg, look forward slightly, bend the elbows, and they're not going out to the side, so keep them tucked in like you're going to bring your heart down to the earth. And press up. Exhale, pull the knee into the chest. Inhale, extend the leg out. Trust that you have the strength to take you down into this pose with strong triceps, strong shoulders. And one more time. I am strong. Press up, pull in. Just send that leg straight out and hold. And pick your left hand up off the mat, reaching through the fingertips. Spinal balance. Last breath. And exhale, release the hand to the mat, the knee. Give yourself a break for the wrists and the shoulders. Child's pose. Relax and breathe. What we do today can have the potential to improve all of our tomorrows. So come to this practice with that positive mindset as we repeat on the other side. Rise up, find your all fours, square hips and shoulders, send the left leg straight back. Level off your hips. So I should be able to draw a straight line from the right hip across to the left. Pull the abs in. Now as you lengthen a little bit more, slightly look forward. Lift the leg a bit, contract the glute. Exhale, curve the back, pulling the knee in toward the chest. Create space in the back body. Inhale, extend that leg back long. Keep your elbows close to you, slightly bend down. Now maybe it's only an inch or 2 or maybe 3. Trust that you can do this and press yourself back up. Scoop the abdominals, pull the knee in toward the chest. Separate the shoulder blades. Inhale, take it back and long. Squeeze the shoulders down and back. Press up through strong triceps. Exhale, pulling in. Let's try 2 more. Trust your body. Let your mind speak that positive affirmation. I trust I am strong enough. Last time. And extend that leg straight back. Hold. Reach the right arm forward, thumb up. Stabilizing. What we do today has the potential to change in a positive way all of our tomorrows. We'll bring the hand and the knee back down to the mat. And take a rest for the shoulders, for the wrists, for the back. So we'll prepare to rise to a standing position. Whatever the best way for you to come up, you might tuck your toes and press up onto your feet, pausing in a forward bend. And then rolling up. And find a really nice posture. Press palms at your heart center. We'll take a step forward with the right foot. A little bit of a step back with the left, with a slight turnout of your back foot for warrior one. Lift the heart toward your thumbs. Draw your shoulder blades back behind and downward. Bring your eye gaze forward on the horizon and trust your feet to support you into the earth, your legs to keep your body stable, your core to maintain your posture. And then we'll come into a little breath of joy here. So let your arms relax by your side, pull those shoulder blades back. We breathe in as the arms come halfway up. We breathe in as they sweep out slightly. In again as they come all the way up. And exhale through the mouth to lower the arms straight down. Breathe in, in, in. Breathe out. Finish one more round. Let those arms float slightly forward, trusting this front leg to support you into warrior three. We'll shift forward onto that standing front foot, lifting off the back heel onto the big toe. When you're ready, trusting you can lift that back foot off the floor. Now just an inch or two is fine. Then allow your mind, the brain, body, and the breath to connect here, to hold this pose. Knowing that that foot can come back down to the floor anytime. And we hold our warrior three. The arm position can change. We can take a little bit of a risk, trusting we can dive down a little bit deeper into this pose. What's the worst that can happen? We lose our balance and we start over. And that's okay. That gives us a little nudge to try again. When you're ready, move yourself back into warrior one. And let your arms come behind you. Lift your heart, come into a baby back bend. A little bit of extension of the spine. And the palms come back to heart center. Find a connection there in your Anjali Mudra. As we step the back foot forward and the front foot steps back. So finding a good squared hip position is really important here in our warrior one. And not having our feet one behind the other like you're standing on a balance beam, but creating some separation between your feet so that they're about hips distance apart, like you're standing on railroad tracks. Once you find that good support and good alignment, let your arms come down, pull your shoulder blades back, lift the heart, ground into the earth, and come into your breath of joy. Last round. Just check in. Feel your energy level lifting. And then we trust we can move into our warrior three. Sweep those arms forward. Bring your body weight into the front foot. Find a strong pada bandha, our root into the earth. Can we lift off that back big toe? Now our gaze is important, our breath, the connection between the breath and the body, and the mind. And if you can, try to get away from saying to yourself, oh, this is my bad side. There's no bad side in yoga. There's no bad. There's only good. Maybe this is my side I need a little more work on. This is a side I need to pay a little more attention to, and that's okay. There's no bad side. See if we can trust, take a risk, go down a little further. 2 more breaths. When you feel ready, with as much control as you can, step back into that warrior one. Pull your arms back behind your body. Draw your shoulder blades down and inward toward one another, lifting the heart, extending the heart up skyward, and a little gaze, and maybe a smile. And then come back to neutral. Bring the palms back to heart center. Step forward toward the top of your mat. Feet either hips distance apart or close together. Arms by your side. So breath of joy, standing in mountain pose. We add a soft bend knee forward fold on the exhalation. So we breathe in, the arms come halfway up. We breathe in again as they sweep out. We breathe in again as they come all the way up. And then bend the knees and exhale forcefully. Throw the arms back behind you. Then we rise up again. Inhale, 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 exhale, inhale. And I want you to feel like you're throwing your arms, like you're throwing water off your arms. You're throwing negativity off your arms. You're throwing sadness away from your body. Releasing anxiety. Two more. One more. And just rise yourself up to neutral. Pull your shoulder blades back. Stand in a nice strong mountain pose. Solid. Then move yourself into 5-pointed star. So I'm stepping 1 foot back to turn forward. Feet are wide, toes turned out, and we lift up and extend through the fingertips. Reaching. Then start to bend your knees into goddess squat. So the knees come open, the elbows come down slightly below the shoulders, and we flex the wrists as if we were holding up 2 heavy objects into the palms of the hands. Grounding into the earth, trusting the feet can support the thighs, the glutes. And then reach up into that 5-pointed star, stretch, and sink down. So I want you to start to pick a pace with this where you want to be today. So if you're feeling really strong and dynamic, let's get moving at a quicker pace. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. You need to have that mindfulness of slower movement, focusing on your alignment a little more. Move slower. Sometimes if we're feeling lethargic in our body, we've come to this place in a little bit of depression, kind of those winter doldrums are still holding on. We want to move the body faster as long as you can maintain your core positioning. Start to get that heart rate up. Start to activate the muscles, invigorate the muscles. If you're coming to this place already, maybe a little bit overactive brain or feeling a little scattered, then we need to ground and slow our life down and center a little bit more. Let's take one more 5-pointed star and hold that goddess squat and see what you can do just to activate a little bit deeper into the muscles. Maybe it's your core bracing a little more. Perhaps the shoulders can come down away from the ears and activate the lats. Sinking deeper into the legs, pulling the glutes in more. And we'll take 2 more breaths here, just fine-tuning our goddess squat. Last breath. And extend up to 5-pointed star, reach, and lower the arms down. This will bring us into one more balance pose for today. It's our Starfish Balance. Walk your feet a little bit closer in toward one another. My toes are still turned out. Start to shift your body over into your right leg. Begin to sweep the arms up. And when you feel ready, pick this left foot up off the mat. And we trust. And come into agreement with yourself that it's okay to come back and restart, to stabilize again. It's okay to lose your balance. And each pose for you today is the perfect one. Now we can close the arms down in front to relax the shoulders and sweep them back up. And I'd like for this movement to be organic, almost like wings. We're pulling up with grace and floating down with the breath. One more, breathe in and breathe out. Let that foot ground into the mat. Slide your body weight over into the other foot. Elongate through your core. So make sure you're not tipping sideways here, but you're still keeping everything lifted. Reach up and pick that foot up off the floor to find your balance. Notice the muscles that are really active here. We have to be contracting this outer hip or your leg will just drop. So there's work here in the hip. There's work here to stabilize, so both hips are working. Let the arms float down and sweep up. Finding grace through movement, still trusting that connection between the brain, the body, and the breath to balance. And one more. And let that foot float down to the floor. Roll the shoulders up and back. We'll work on triangle pose today, Trikonasana. So I have a block on either side of my mat. We'll start with, if you have just one, the block to your right side. And I like to bring that block behind my body a little bit. I'm going to place both of mine in position here. And take your feet out nice and wide. Turn the right foot out into Warrior Two position. And just for a moment, I'd like you to take a gentle side bend. And just notice that in side angle pose, we're not folding forward and tipping from the hips. We just want to do a nice side bend here. And this will be the same position we find with triangle. So hold this side angle pose, supported, and all we do is simply straighten out the front knee, and we'll slightly let the hip kick out on that left side, and then side bend any amount further as you slide that hand down your shin, or you can reach the fingertips to our block. Now this arm is just an accessory with the pose. It all builds from the foundation. So the arm can reach, it can come down, hip, behind, or it can come closer to the ear to give yourself a much deeper stretch. And perhaps trust that you can support yourself with your core, just as we did in our side bend this morning with the yoga strap, and come unsupported here in your triangle. Your body will tell you if that's not okay today, and listen to your body. Come back down and support. Let's take 2 more breaths here. Tighten your thighs. Then to exit the pose, put a little bit of a bend back into that knee as we're coming back through side angle, and then press yourself up. And take a reverse warrior as a counter stretch for our waist to the other side. The gaze can come up with that little smile. And then lower the arm back down. Take a moment to switch your stance. So we'll turn the right foot in and the left foot out. If you need to move your block from the right side to your left, have it ready. And square your torso as much as you can this direction. So if that means that your knee is falling in, go ahead and turn your foot a little bit so that your knee and your foot are in the same alignment. Let's come into a gentle side angle pose without rounding forward. Sometimes when we get into these poses, we think we want to reach down to that block, and so we come out of alignment. So there's nothing special about reaching the block or the floor. So trust we can do this pose in good alignment. And then all we do is start to straighten this front knee without locking it. Keep that little soft micro bend. As we come into our triangle, the fingertips can slide further down the shin. We can meet our block. And then this top arm, it's all up to you where we decide to accessorize that pose. And can we take that little bit of a risk in trust of our body to unsupport, to find a longer lever for our core to work? And that's okay if the body says not today, maybe another day. And let's hold here 2 more breaths. And then to exit the pose, bend this front knee, sink, come back to your side angle. And then pull yourself back up through your Warrior Two position. And then we are making our way onto our back. So perhaps you reach down to the floor through a lunge. And no rush to get there again. Just find the way that works best for you, coming down onto your mat. If you need some support behind your head and you have a little cushion or blanket with you to create a pillow, I want you to feel comfortable as we are in this reclining position. And then just bring your feet about hips distance apart and tuck your tailbone under and imprint your lower back down into the mat. We're coming into half happy baby. So we'll take the right knee and hug it into the chest and bring it over toward the right armpit. And then start to straighten this leg out enough that you are placing a footprint on the ceiling. Sometimes happy baby is done incorrectly by pulling in this way. But what we want to do is create a 90-degree angle at the knee as much as possible. Then I'm going to take my right arm and bring it to the inside of my right knee, but take my hand and bring it to the outside of my right foot. And pull down, and your hand helps create a little bit of flexion here, but holding the outside of the foot also helps to keep your ankle and your foot straight in a correct alignment. And your last choice is whether or not you'd like to slide the left leg all the way out onto the mat to straighten the leg and then activate it as if you were standing on the floor doing this pose. That would be trusting to try that standing up. But in our mind's eye, we can go there. Connecting the mind, the body, and the breath. Now notice the stretch. Is it in the glute? Perhaps the upper portion of the hamstring, maybe the entire hamstring stretching behind that upper leg. Take one more breath. And then as you exhale, release the foot, bend your knee, and set that foot flat down onto your mat. Pull the left knee up into the chest, and then send it toward the outside of your chest, so it's coming toward your armpit. Then start to bring the knee to a 90-degree bend, flexing the ankle as if it's putting a footprint right on the ceiling. The left arm comes inside of the left leg, but the hand goes across the arch of the foot, the top of the foot, and holds to the outside blade of the foot. And we use our arm strength, the bicep, the lat, to pull the knee gently down toward the armpit, the outside of the shoulder. Then we can decide whether this right leg feels okay to float down to the floor. Activate that leg, flexing your foot as if you were standing on that leg in an upright position. Notice the stretch you're feeling on this side as compared to the right leg. Is the left glute tighter or more free? Is the hamstring tighter or more free? How do the hip feel in this moment? And we'll take 2 more breaths. And then release the foot. Lower that foot down to the mat. Walk the straight leg in. Hug both knees right up into your chest. So if you'd like, you can stay knees to chest You can bring the legs up into legs up the wall, or you can separate those legs and drop both knees down toward the armpits for full happy baby. The knees are bent about 90 degrees. You're placing 2 footprints on the ceiling. Both arms come inside of your legs, but both hands go outside of the feet. And we pull both knees down to the armpits, down to the outside of your shoulders. And we press the entire back securely down into the mat. And try to find an even stretch in both sides, both glutes, both hamstrings, both hips, both ankles, on either side of your lower back. Now, oftentimes in yoga practice, we're invited to rock a little bit from side to side. So if that's something that gives you joy today, go ahead and move, or just stay still and in the moment. We'll take one more breath wherever you are today. And exhale. Release the feet. Close the knees together. Push your feet down into the mat. Pick up your hips a little bit and move them over to one side so you can roll over on to your side. When you feel ready, use your arm strength to press yourself up away from the mat as we return where we began today, in a comfortable seat. And check back in, noticing how you're feeling as compared to the onset of our practice this morning. In your body and in your brain and in the breath. Finding trust in your yoga practice, trusting that what we do today has the potential to change in a positive direction all of our tomorrows. We'll take a breath together. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Let the palms press and draw the thumbs into the heart. And bring the heart toward the thumbs. That will lift the heart and draw the shoulder blades back. And the trust that resides within me honors the trust in each and every one of you. It has been my honor to guide you through your spring into yoga practice this morning. Namaste. Thank you so much, everyone. If you have a minute to join me for a little chat, that would be great. If not, I hope to see you tomorrow as we go through cardio zone 2 training. Thanks, everybody.